Griffin, Superintendent of Education. Tonight we're hosting the second of two town hall type call-in meetings. And first, we appreciate everyone who participated last night. We welcome your questions. And again, we thank all those who are listening in tonight. With us tonight, we have Sharon McKee, my administrative assistant, Leon Dalton, technology director, technology assistant Taylor Griffin, Dr. Maurice Brown, maintenance and transportation supervisor, school board member Leon Coverson, assistant superintendent, HR director Sheila Wilson, and we also have with the Department of Public Health, we have Miss Susie Hammock. And again, I'm Robert Griffin, superintendent of schools. Mr. Dalton, do we have a caller on?
Not yet. You may want to remind them if they have a question, go ahead and just raise their hand.
If you're listening on the app, we encourage you to raise your hand and we will open the line up for you. Or if you're on regular telephone without the ability to raise your hand, you can simply unmute your telephone and begin speaking. And if more than one speaks at one time, we'll just mute the second one.
Mute my microphone.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Hello.
She unmuted and then muted back.
We had sounded like a lady. I believe she unmuted and began to speak. She muted herself back. We're available. We welcome your question.
Hello?
Yes, this is Robert Griffin. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you? I'm just calling to see what this is regarding.
Yes, ma'am. This is a call-in meeting. We're doing a town hall type format for obvious reasons due to the COVID and the concerns regarding a social gathering. We're having individuals to call in, and we're welcoming your questions regarding the reopening of school.
Oh.
Do you have a question?
My question is, are you guys going to reopen the school or are they going to do virtual?
Excellent question. Thank you. We're going to release, hopefully tomorrow, our reopening plan. And after dialogue with educators, the community, we're accepting these telephone calls. We'll start school Monday, August 24th, and students have the option of a face-to-face traditional learning. We'll run Monday through Friday during our set scheduled times. We also are going to offer remote learning for those with underlying health conditions or those who feel uncomfortable returning to the traditional face-to-face environment at this time. And we're also going to, for those who choose remote learning, tomorrow we're going to publish a remote learning commitment form, and you can fill that out or just call your child's school and we'll work with you. We're going to customize you a remote learning plan that will work and best fits the needs of your child regarding your accessibility to internet. Because, you know, I think everybody knows that bandwidth is an issue in Meriwether County. I can assure you that we're going to serve your child diligently, and we're going to strive to maximize their potential during these very trying and uncertain times.
Okay. Is there something in general that they have to have if they're going to do virtual?
Just go and meet with your principal, and we will work and we will customize something that will work for you. If you need to check out a Chromebook to use at home, we will work with you on that as well. We have internet hotspots on the buses, and we will customize a remote learning option for you and your child that best fits their needs. Ma'am, you want to say, I lost you there just for a moment.
Says you muted me. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. I can hear you loud and clear. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I have the twins, Scott and Trent Fishburne, that are in
Yes.
special ed.
Yes.
Which, you know, of course, like everybody else, I'm concerned about COVID and stuff like that. My
Yes.
issue is that they need that one-on-one learning by being at school, but neither one of my boys are going to be able to wear a mask. Is that going to be an issue? Because
I'll
they
tell you what,
speech therapy and
I
all
want you
that
to-
stuff.
being that your children receive special services, I want you to call Tanya Waller. She's our special education director.
Okay.
Do you have a pencil or a piece of paper?
Yes, sir.
The number is 706 441 0601. We understand there might be extreme circumstances at times. You know, the mask protects, it doesn't protect you, it protects others from you. But we're also going to have some face shields and some things like that. And I'm sure
Yeah,
that Mrs.
shields
Watt,
might work better. I'm not sure which. You know, Scott I think would be fine, whatever. But Trent's the one that's
Right.
going to be the issue,
okay. I'll tell you what,
and he's the one that needs the
this-
speech and all that stuff, and he's got to be able to be understood and heard. So
Mrs. Waller will work to reconvene the IEP committee, and she'll speak to, if not Susie Hammett with the Department of Public Health, one of the other
okay.
staffers that they have, and advise us accordingly on that situation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Dr. Griffin.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Yuvraj Patel's parents. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? All right.
I got a quick question, sir. Where on the net or a school website there'll be an information available that how we can join online, because I believe we have two options right now.
When you say join online, are you talking, or what are you referring to, ma'am?
I'm referring to virtual class. I'm sorry, I just joined, so unless you already explained, are we only going to have a virtual school or in-person school, or how are we doing it?
We're going to have traditional school Monday through Friday with a regular time, and we're going to have a remote option if parents so choose that for their children.
Oh, okay. For the remote option, is it where the kid's going to be joining at same time as the school starts?
Yes, the remote option for school and traditional, they both start Monday, August 24th.
And the detail for remote, how to log in, what account to get, will be eventually provided on website, or will be receiving some kind of documentation?
Okay, if you choose remote learning, we're going to publish a remote learning commitment form that we should release sometime tomorrow, and it'll be available on the website, and it's going to direct you to, it'll be a little bit of information to fill out, but it's going to direct you to contact your child's school and in some capacity either meet with or communicate with the leadership at the school. And the leadership at the school will also communicate with our technology staff regarding designing a remote learning plan customized to best fit the needs of your child.
Yes, sir. And I'm sorry, one more question. Let's
Please.
say if a parent select a remote school and month later they realize that they're not good of a teacher, which is I know I'm not, and want to send a kid back to traditional school, will that be an option, or once you select, you stick with it?
All right. If your child is grades kindergarten through 8 and you select the remote option, we're going to ask you to commit to that for 9 weeks.
Okay,
And if your child is grades 9 through 12, we're going to ask them to commit to it for the first semester because the block schedule in the Carnegie units. Now,
gotcha.
if you bring your children in and they start traditionally face to face, and after a couple of weeks, for whatever reason, you become uncomfortable, you can then transition into remote. But you would then be for the rest of the 9 weeks or the rest of the semester.
Understood. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for calling tonight.
I have another question.
Please, yes, ma'am.
If the kids are not going to school and they're doing virtual, are they going to be able to participate in sports?
Yes, ma'am. As of right now, yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes, please. Hello. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Warren. For elementary students who would be going to traditional school, how are you all going to be handling lunch and recess?
Great question. All right. Recess is an outside activity unless it's weather permitting. Of course, recess is a great time to socially distance. And where socially distancing is not really much to impair that from occurring. And regarding lunch, we need to be sure that we implement social distancing practices during the lunchtime. So what we're going to do is 1 week, all the students will go to the cafeteria and get their meal. 1 week, half of them will go back to the room and eat so they can spread out. The next, while the others eat in the cafeteria, and the next week we'll flip-flop it.
This shit crazy, bro.
Are you still there, ma'am?
Yes, I am. Thank you for that. And I have one more question. Is class size going to be adjusted so they will be able to socially distance?
Socially distancing
Good question.
inside the classroom as well as the school bus is about impossible. We are going to spread the furniture to the best of our ability. That's why we're going to require masks. The mask.
No. How you call?
Ma'am, I hope you can still hear me. I believe someone's inadvertently unmuted. The masks are going to prevent the spread of the COVID. And that's as of right now, according to the research, that is the best way to prevent the spread is wear the mask during all settings inside the classroom, cafeteria, and buses. But yes, inside the classrooms, we're going to space the furniture out, and in a lot of cases, we'll be probably fully socially distance.
Thank you
But
very
we can't guarantee it inside the classrooms. But let me tell you this, ma'am. I'm glad I'm still on the phone with you. We have a company called EcoVasive. They've got a new technology, and I just found out this afternoon 40% of the schools in the state of Georgia are using it. I just found that out this afternoon. And they have a new research-based cleaning chemical that the ions inside the chemical actually bond to the tops, bottoms, furniture, walls, buses, playground equipment. And what it does is inside this chemical is a deterrent that does not allow viruses such as COVID or disease or other infectious allergens in the air. It kills it for up to 90 days. So what we're going to do, we're going to have 3 treatments throughout the school year, and that should prevent the risk of your child getting COVID from touching.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Tammy Howe. I have a child that be attending the pre-K program. Now,
Yeah.
how would this affect, the pre-K students, kids?
Okay, regarding pre-K, I believe we're going to, I'm not sure yet, we're waiting on a possible mandate from the state to delay the start of pre-K 10 days. Right now, it's still tentative to start the 24th on Monday, August 24th. Are you planning to allow your pre-K child to attend traditional face-to-face?
Well, it's up in the air, but I have also have a sixth grader that I'm gonna, he's gonna do remotely.
Okay.
I just, right now my concern is for the pre-K,
Excellent question. In order to, like a county near us that has a lot better internet service and broadband than we have, they actually have a virtual pre-K curriculum. We do not have the broadband capability. So if you choose remote,
hold on for a second.
please, yes ma'am, get your piece of paper.
Yes, and I'm glad that you have this information on hand. Now, I'm looking for the pen and a piece of paper, but do you think that that's something you guys can implement? Just say next month or,
The virtual pre-K curriculum is not possible in Meriwether County due to bandwidth. But however, go ahead.
If there's a lot of if parents are, requesting or suggesting, sign a petition saying, hey, like this to happen in Meriwether County, do you think that could be implemented?
Ma'am,
Or you just
Meriwether County just does not have the broadband capability to run this program from what I'm understanding.
Okay, thank you. And what's that number?
Then I asked to speak to Dawn Woodard, and the number is 706-441-0601, and she can direct you to alternatives to the regular traditional face-to-face here, and we will assist you with whatever arrangements you need to make.
Okay, because I haven't received anything in the mail stating, that she's been accepted to the pre-K. I know before the COVID-19, hit, I filled out the application, the school shut down. So that's another to see, if she's going to be enrolled today. Because I know it was a limit.
I want you to please call Ms. Woodard tomorrow to first find out if your child is registered and then on our roll. And if not, at the very least, we can take care of that for you while you continue to make your decision.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day and be safe.
We will do our best.
Dr.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
The guy got a call. Is somebody control it? Just because you're unmuted don't mean you're unmuted. Somebody else control it.
Ma'am, you're unmuted. Waiting for your question.
Hello?
Yes.
I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One, where I live, I have the bandwidth. I live in Luthersville, so will my child be taught every day through Zoom, or however they want to teach?
What I want you to do, we're going to release a remote learning commitment form tomorrow, and check the website, and we will. You still with me, ma'am?
I'm here.
And
Just sitting
you'll
right there by
notice
the front registers.
you'll notice the remote learning commitment form, and at that point in time, I'm assuming your children go to Unity to school, correct?
Yes.
You're more than welcome to go by our call and meet with Dr. Vining and Mr. Austin, and they'll let our technology staff know what all internet resources that you have available, and we will customize a remote learning plan that works for your situation.
Okay, so will my child interact with the teacher every day or every other day, or how would that work?
Our plans, our teachers are going to be checking in, and then we may have some teachers who, for whatever reason, are unable to go to the school every day. They'll be available.
Hey, I understand that you have a young child also, correct?
I do.
So what are your plans with your child?
He's not of school age yet.
Okay. So you're not doing any packets or anything for the child, right? They're doing actual schoolwork.
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be a remote learning option that we are going to implement, that we are going to customize to fit the needs of your children.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you say you have a cleaning company coming in that's gonna spray every 90 days and it's guaranteed to kill the coronavirus, are y'all willing to sign a waiver with the parent guaranteeing that?
We have posted an information sheet regarding the Ecovasive, the newest technologies, and it is on the website. It's called Meriwether County School District. We use the newest technologies to ensure buildings are protected against the virus. And what this is going to do is prevent the spread of the COVID through the surfaces. Now, there's so much unknown about COVID, and is what percent are catching it airborne and what percent are catching it through surfaces and then touching their face and nose and eyes. We do not know. What we're doing, though, is assuring that the furniture and the surfaces and the playground equipment and the bus seats and that are protected. And every 90 days, we will, but we won't let 90 days pass. We will then treat it again 3 times during the year.
So would that prevent someone? What if someone come in with it? What if another student come to the school with it? It can't stop that from spreading, right?
That's why we're requiring the masks, ma'am. The masks protect others from you. And if you're sitting, you literally, in order to get it through the air like that, you have to sit next to someone 15 minutes, less than 6 feet apart, and be exposed to their air particles coming from their mouth. I'll tell you what, I've got Susie Hammett with the Department of Health. She's going to help me answer this question, ma'am. You've asked one of those great questions. You got out of my area of expertise, dear. Go ahead. Susie Hammett, she's with you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Susie.
I wanted to just explain to you a little bit kind of what we're learning about how COVID is spread, so that maybe you'll understand a little better why. Just because they treat the surfaces, they can't guarantee anything, but just because the surfaces are treated. So if you'll remember back in March when we first started hearing about this, everybody thought it was mostly transmitted through surfaces that you touch, right? So it's like You know, you got, the most important thing is to wash your hands and don't touch your face, right? And then as we've learned more and more about it, we're finding out that that's actually a small part of how it's transmitted, but it's mostly transmitted actually through droplets in the air. So every time you breathe, you speak, you laugh, you cough, you sneeze, little teeny tiny microscopic droplets are coming out of your mouth, and some of them hang around in the air for a little while. So when you have on a mask, you're stopping those droplets from getting out into the air for the most part, right? You're catching the majority of them in that mask. Now, if some of them were to land on, say, a desk that's been treated with this ecovasive stuff, then it's going to kill the virus that's on the table, but it's still not going to address what's hanging in the air, which is why we have to wear the masks. It's also important to understand that you can be asymptomatic and have this. You can have it and not know you have it for several days before you start feeling bad. So if say a child wears their mask all day at school and they're doing so well, and then they go home and the mama sends them over to play with the neighbors while the mama's cooking dinner, and they're playing with the neighbors, and the neighbor has it and doesn't know it. Now your child has caught it from the neighbor. Well, you don't know that. It could have been from the school, it could have been from the neighbor, it could have been from anywhere that they've been. So it's impossible for the school to guarantee your child's definitely not going to get COVID because we treated these surfaces. It's just a measure of trying to protect them more. So it's one thing that they can control, that they can help try to make your child a little bit safer. Between the surfaces being treated and the mask wearing, that's really as much as they can possibly do, but nothing is going to completely protect your child, because this is a very contagious virus that they could get at school, but they could also get it just going to the grocery store, you know? So in my opinion, from the public health perspective, they're doing absolutely as much as they can to protect these kids, but nothing is going to be 100% guaranteed.
Okay, with that being said, y'all keep saying the thing about the mask. If the mask stops it from spreading, why can't we meet face to face? Why can't we have a meeting with everybody there if everybody have on a mask? Y'all asking us to send our kids to school thinking that a mask gonna protect them, but y'all doing a Zoom call over the phone to keep us from being there and talk face to face. I get
that logic. I get that logic. I understand what you're saying. The answer to that is, it's kind of like, if you can do it a different way, then why not? So if there's yesterday there were 100 people on this Zoom call. If we had 100 people in a room and everybody had on a mask, we might be okay, but somebody might be breathing real hard in their mask and be super contagious and get it, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a way that we can do it through Zoom and still get you the information you need, and you're still able to interact and ask questions, then that's just a safer thing to do. So
but
that's
we ain't
why,
worried about what's safer for the parents. We worried about what's safer for our kids. It's a fight every day to have our kids safe at home and then having them to go to school. That's totally different.
I've got 3 kids myself. I've got a kindergartner, a 5th grader, and an 8th grader. So I completely understand what you're saying, and I'm worried about my kids too. So I understand where you're coming from. It's scary, but you just have to know that you have an option. Scary. You have an option to keep them home. You can. Or if that's not an option for you, it's not for me. My kids will be going to in-person school because I don't have the option to stay home with them. I don't have anybody to watch them, so they have to go. So I just have to trust that my school board is doing what they can to protect my kids, and that's the best we can do. And it's a scary time. It really is. But I can tell you, I've been working with Dr. Griffin now for months on this, and he really is. He's doing everything he possibly can to protect your kids, and I can tell you that for sure. He's not taking this lightly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are y'all gonna be checking temperatures?
We're gonna check the temperature as students enter the building every day. We have the handheld infrared thermometers. And then we also are going to have the stand-up, walk-by, scanner, temperature check scanners as they enter as well.
I have a question, Dr. Griffin. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you finish answering the question? Hello?
Ma'am, can you try that one again? You cut out there just a little.
Okay, I have a question. This is Tammy again. Now, for the students
Hey,
that
Tammy.
coming in that are coming face to face, they be mandatory to wear the mask? You know, because you have kids that each child, you know, they may say, "Oh, I don't want to wear the mask." So, will it be mandated for them to wear the mask?
Regarding wearing the mask, if a child absolutely refuses, this is how we're going to speak to the parents and understand that the mask is not protecting you from others.
Right.
It's protecting others from you. We're
Right.
not going to allow one individual to put everyone else at risk. We will not do that.
Okay.
And remember, we're going to have some face shields as well, okay? And that should help as well.
Dr.
We're
Griffin,
going to get as many of them as we can get. We're providing the masks.
Yeah, I was gonna say face shields for the special ed would be much better than the masks.
We're getting as many of those we can. And regarding your special education children, the IEP committee will convene, and that can become a topic at the IEP committee.
Okay.
Dr. Griffin, I have a question. This is Jasmine Knighton.
Jasmine.
Regarding the surveys that we did y'all take any of that in consideration while coming up with this plan?
We took that was a major contributor of our plan. I can tell you that we have 2,300 students. We had about 900 responses, and it was, you saw the results back that a little more than half felt like they wanted remote.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at that and considering that out of 2,300 students, it appears somewhere 1,000 to 1,400 students still needed that for some reason, whether they didn't have internet at home or accessibility to the survey, we're going to offer traditional and a remote option.
Did you all ever consider trying to do both, like kind of doing like 3 days a week and going home, doing virtual things, or putting in something, implementing where they can go home and do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then they come to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Because I'm just leery about bringing them the whole week. I don't have the option to keep mine at home because I work from home. And so trying to keep on them about their schoolwork and trying to work at the same time, that's going to be a struggle for me because I'm leery about sending them, but I would be comfortable doing it, a couple of days a week just so they can get their one-on-one interaction with the teacher.
I use this as an example, is if the children are exposed to one another 3 days a week and the virus can lay inside the body or possibly on a surface somewhere that accidentally, inadvertently was not treated for 72 hours, not sending them every day, what you're talking about is a hybrid model. Unless you have a grade 9 through 12, some of your large high schools, maybe in grades 10 through 12, maybe they have 28. Are you still with me, ma'am?
I'm still here.
Maybe they have 2,800 students, grades 10 through 12. There's a scenario where that hybrid model will work. You just said it all. How can we choose which 3 days, and then the parents are are all over the place and just doing their best to try to find somebody to watch their children 2 out of the 5 days, when the 3 days of exposure, if exposure is what occurs, it's the 5 days. It's an irrelevant measurement, and we're going to treat the surfaces and implement the mask, implement the hand washing 5 days a week.
Okay. My next question would be, would this be revised throughout the year? Like, say, if you see what y'all have planned isn't working, would y'all revise it, like going strictly remote or everybody coming back?
We're going to most likely offer that remote option at least throughout the 2021 school year. Now, if there's a vaccination that's created, everyone gets vaccinated, and, we could probably move forward with all traditional there. But we're going to be in constant communication with the Department of Public Health. I even have the representative here tonight. They will advise us if we reach a level that we need to close the school. And we also have a decision matrix where if your child's exposed or test positive, or how many students in a classroom before we had to close a classroom or a school, you're going to get that information as well. We're going to work diligently with the agency trained in dealing with such matters, which would be the Department of Public Health, regarding the decisions whether we abandon the traditional option and go totally remote.
Okay, and my last question is, with the closing of George E. and them splitting up the kids to go to Unity and Mountain View already busting at the seams. I know
It
y'all
is
gonna.
not. It is not. That facility will hold over 900 students. There were many empty classrooms at Mountain View, and we had about 650 students pre-K through 12, and you only adding about 100. We're still going to have empty classrooms and be able to spread to the best of our ability.
Okay, that was my
I did not
question,
mean
trying
to
to
cut
spread
you
it
off.
out. You're
I did
fine.
not mean to cut you off, but I want you to know the facts on that.
Okay, it just feels like it's the most, elementary school with a lot of kids. So I was just wondering about how this, you all will spread the kids out, because it was a lot of kids at the elementary school.
We're going to socially distance to the best of our ability. There again is where the face masks are so essential. And we're going to do the regular hand washing.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. If I was to choose to do remote learning with my son who's in the 6th grade and he has an IEP and he takes speech, how would you accommodate him?
All right, do you have a pencil and piece of paper, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Good. Here, I want you to call Tanya Waller. She's our special education director. And the number is 706-441-0601. And what happens, the IEP committee is going to convene, and y'all will work through the details on that. And if you choose remote learning, we'll customize a plan that works for you and your family.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Before the kids get on the bus, would the bus driver have a thermometer to check the kids to see if they running a temperature?
Excellent question. You're going to see in the reopening plan, we're going to encourage parents to check their temperature before they leave the house. Regarding loading a bus, that bus is already stopped out on state and local highways with a stop sign out. It is too time consuming for that bus driver to try to check those temperatures. If we have a child who's already on the bus and becomes symptomatic, we're going to have an isolation seat behind the bus driver for them to sit. Every student and driver is going to wear their masks at all times. When a child is loading the bus, if for some reason he or she does not have a mask, our bus drivers will have a paper one to issue them for the day.
So they can load the bus without a mask?
No, ma'am. They gotta
Okay.
have a mask when they step foot on the bus. If the driver sees that they do not have a mask, that we'll have the paper ones that'll suffice for the day. The school system's going
Okay.
to issue washable masks, and they're very good ones.
I have a question about virtual
Okay.
learning.
Yes, please.
With the virtual learning, you said, of course, there'll be a plan put into place. However, one of the questions I have is, I know that you said Chromebooks and things like that would be provided, but will they be looking at their teacher, or will they be using some type of other scholastic program?
It's going to be other scholastic programs, not just Meriwether County. You're a long way from a county that has the 360-degree cameras in the classroom and the internet broadband capability out in the community to tie a child straight into the room. What we're going to do, if you choose a remote option, we're going to release a remote learning commitment form, and it should be on the website tomorrow. And take it, and there's a little bit to fill out, and take it to your child's school, and we'll develop a remote learning plan customized to fit your child's needs.
Thank you.
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a question.
Yes.
Okay, I work in the healthcare field, and I keep hearing people talking about temperature, but you don't have to have a temperature to have the coronavirus. I've seen a lot of patients without a temperature that actually have the virus. So how's that going to ensure our kids be safe by them taking a temperature at the school?
Ma'am, I'm directing this question straight to Susie Hammond. Go ahead.
That's a really good question, and you're absolutely right. And that's something that, if people don't know that yet, they definitely should be aware that you're absolutely right. You do not have to have a temperature to have COVID. The temperature checks are just another thing that's a safeguard to just kind of stop, any kids that do have a temperature from entering into the building and possibly spreading it. Of course, if a child is asymptomatic and doesn't have a fever, there's no possible way we could know that. But the temperature checks are just another kind of thing to stop sick kids from getting into the school if we possibly can. So, but you're absolutely right. Just because you don't have a fever does not mean you don't have COVID. There actually, with kids, is a very high chance that the kids will be asymptomatic, which is why masks are absolutely vital, because everybody has one on, and that's stopping any, airborne spread.
Okay, and I have another question. My son, he has severe asthma. There's no way that he can wear a mask for 8 hours plus. It's not going to work. So how are you guys going to accommodate him?
So that's understandable, and what we're saying is that if your child cannot wear a mask, a face shield is a very good alternative, because it does still stop those droplets from projecting out into the air. Especially, we say, for younger kids or kids with special needs, or kids that, like your son, that have asthma. These face shields, you can find them on Amazon for really cheap. I'm not sure how old your son is, but like for younger kids, they have these cute little hats that have the face shield kind of built onto the hat. All the kid has to do is stick the hat on in the morning, and they don't have to worry about fooling with the face shield at all after that. But face shields are an acceptable form of face covering.
And also, I want to know, how are you guys going to make sure that the school is being cleaned, like, thoroughly? Because I seen for myself, like, previous years, they wasn't really cleaning. They were going over spot to spot. How are you going to make sure they actually clean the lockers, make sure the rooms are disinfected every single day?
All right. First of all, we're not going to use lockers. Number two, we have a new technology. 40% of school systems in Georgia are using it. It's called Ecovasive. And what it is, they have a new research-based cleaning chemical that the ions inside the chemical, when it's sprayed, it attaches to all the surfaces, top and bottom. And inside this chemical, is an agent that's a deterrent to the spread of disease, infections, etc., and it lasts up to 90 days. So we as a school system feel very comfortable that the surface spread of COVID, where you touch a surface that has it and rub your eyes, that we've eliminated that danger. Okay.
Okay,
And
have you guys
we feel,
tested it for the school?
ma'am,
Have you already tested it at the school? I'm just curious to know.
we're going to treat the schools a little bit closer to the first day of school because this chemical is good for 90 days. About 85 days out, we'll treat it again. We're going to do 3 treatments throughout the year.
Okay.
Hi,
Oh,
this is Miss Jenkins.
Hey, Miss Jenkins.
I had implemented a plan to you guys, and it was similar to the hybrid plan about splitting up the alphabet and sending half the alphabet on a Monday and Thursday, and the other half on a Tuesday and Friday, Wednesday being a clean down day, and that way parents can kind of schedule where they know which days are virtual and which days are not. But I was listening to the question of the temperature checking as far as on the bus. Have you thought about maybe creating something, a questionnaire that a parent can answer every single morning? I work for a company where my employees have to do a mobile questionnaire test, or they do it on their computer before they come to work, and they have to show me the results that they are cleared to come in for the day before I can even let them in my building. And that may be something that can be created to where, you know, they can do it on their phone, or the parent can do it on a tablet or a computer to kind of show that, you know, they are doing the process of making sure that their child is safe, as well as others' childs are safe, children are safe going back to school.
You
So I
make
don't know.
you make an excellent point. Let me say this. First of all, so many of our families do not have internet capability. But number 2, we're going to treat the surfaces inside all the buses thoroughly with EcoVasive. The bus drivers are going to disinfect them before and after each route. They're going to use hand sanitizer as they enter and exit the bus, and they're going to wear their masks. I can tell you my oldest son has contracted and dealt with COVID and has overcome it. He had quite a time, and he's in his 20s. And I can tell you that it can come on you so fast, and you can be totally asymptomatic, and it will just come on you. It hit him. He was on his way to work. It hit him. He had to stop and turn around. He had only gotten 5 minutes from his residence, and by the time he got back home, he was burning up. And so that's why we're going to have an isolation area on the bus. At 6:30 a.m., someone can test out just fine. From what I've learned just from my own family, by 8 a.m., you can honestly be flat of your back, ma'am.
Yes, that's true. We've had a couple of people in my family, as well as at my job, is done that too. Another
Right.
thing, have you thought about instead of the children transitioning classes, having the teachers to transition, and those children remain in one location versus all over the
That's
place?
called cohorting, and we're going to do that where applicable.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And one other thing, far as the, oh God, I forgot what I was fixing to ask. It was based on that, far as the transitioning. Also, yeah, the lockers. And I know you were saying that you're not going to use the lockers, but now is the time really for a child to have a locker, because that's less things in that room that would bring germs. And they take what they need to that class. And then, you know, if it is where they do need to get something else, sanitize, go out to their locker, grab what they need, and come back, maybe a few at a time. But this is a time where they do need to have a locker to keep from bringing extra germs in that room.
Well, most students, they have a book bag that they take with them. And what the risk is at the lockers is you'll have several that are too close to one another, and then what'll happen is if there's some component, whether it be a book or whatever, that ended up with the COVID on its surface, it can just spread down the rows of lockers. Lockers are really discouraged at this point in time. You're touching on something where there is no right answer. And what we do is we do what the research says is the least threat. And so right now, we will not use lockers.
Okay.
So I got a quick question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we gonna have an access to a statistic of a child's at school they might get corona? Like, are you gonna put out, said, hey, we initially had 500 students, now 200, 20 is out because they could have it. Is the parents gonna have, I'm not expecting any name, but are we gonna have some kind of statistical information so we can make a decision better if we need to continue sending our kid to school or not?
I've got Susie Hammett with the Board of Health. If we have a positive or exposure, she's going to advise you how we handle that.
Okay.
So this is something that's been in place for actually a really long time. You just don't see it very often. Every great once in a while, a school might get a child that has meningitis, which is very, very contagious, and it can be deadly. So if something like that happens, the Department of Public Health has a form letter that goes out to all the parents that says, a child at your school has been tested positive for meningitis. It's kind of just like a heads up. It's not saying to be scared. It's just letting you know. It's going to be a similar thing to that, where if a child is tested positive for COVID, you're going to get a letter that says, a child in your, a student in your child's class has tested positive for COVID. That's as much detail as you're going to be able to give, and we're not going to be able to guarantee, your child didn't come in contact with them in the hallway or whatever, but it's at least letting you know that someone has had it in the classroom. You'll probably get plenty of those letters, throughout the school year. If there's a known contact, say if the teacher saw your child hugging another student and they didn't have their mask on or something crazy breaking the rules like that, then you would get something that lets you know your child has been a direct contact of a positive case and they should be tested.
Yes, ma'am, I understand it. I just want to make sure it won't be a lie base. So by the time we receive a letter, to the time it was confirmed, it could be like a week or maybe 3 days. I wasn't sure if you're going to have like a live update on a website or something on a daily that we can see, hey, you guys had 3 confirmed cases today, or.
We're going to send the letter home with your child that day, and we'll be in contact with you that night. Yeah, we're not going to put it in the U.S. mail and let you find out 3 days later.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question, Dr. Griffin.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, this is Kimberly Warren again. On the social distancing again, with these elementary school kids, with the social distancing, especially at recess and free times, if they break the social distancing rules, is there going to be any kind of disciplinary action, or what's going to happen when those kind of issues come up?
Ma'am, regarding social distancing, we're going to do our best to implement social distancing. It's like I said, on the bus it's impossible and it's very difficult inside the classroom. Okay. That's why the masks are so important. Right. We are going to enforce the masks are required.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, like, for instance, if the children are outside playing and they're playing tag, they have their masks on or whatever your protocol is for recess, and they're just playing a game where they're touching each other, are they going to be disciplined? Is there any kind of action that would be taken against those kids?
Ma'am, if my understanding is correct, if they're wearing their mask, social distancing is not a factor.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have anything in place just in case, like if you have to shut the school down again for this the upcoming school year? Do you have a plan in place for your kids if the school have to shut down completely?
Ma'am, we're working, what we will do, if we have to close the schools, we're going to, work diligently to implement, to be sure to customize a remote learning plan for each and every child. And, it may involve, flash drives with Chromebooks and utilizing Google Classroom. A lot of it will be contingent upon, is there quality internet available in the home? You remember we've put some hotspots in some buses and made smart buses of them. And from what I'm understanding, we're going to receive some funding to equip some more buses with internet to make them smart buses as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to tirelessly make sure that we provide your child the resources they need to have a quality education. The way I understand what happened in the spring, I mean, that was not ideal. We still have low bandwidth in this area. And so what we dealt with is, we're here, it's Wednesday, and all of a sudden the schools are closed on Friday. We thought about sending Chromebooks home, but if you'll take yourself back to March 13th of 2020, what they were saying at that time was that the coronavirus gets on the surfaces of things and it can spread throughout a house. We certainly did not want to send any Chromebooks home because the Super Chromebook had it and it infected everyone in the house. We know now you can better disinfect it and et cetera. So we're going to make quality arrangements regarding remote learning if we absolutely have to abandon the traditional option.
Well, I don't know if it's an option or a question or just a statement. Have you ever thought about using the library that we have here in Greenville or the middle school building? Do they still have like the good computer labs? If y'all had to use anything type of resources in Meriwether County, have y'all considered those options or looking into anything like that?
I'll tell you this, ma'am. If the COVID situation in Meriwether County becomes so dire that the Department of Public Health advises our closure, I can assure you that the public libraries will be closed as well, just as they were in the spring. I'll tell you what, though, we'll have buses parked around with hotspots in them that you can pull up close by.
Okay.
That we can. Yep. Yeah, I know. Yep.
Well, thank you so much.
Good point, though. I like your idea, but it's not going to happen.
Well, thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I have a question. For returning students and staff, will you give COVID testing? And if so, how often?
I'm going to refer this one to Susie Hannah.
When you say returning, do you mean returning after testing positive previously, or do you just mean when returning?
Throughout the school year, will you perform testing periodically?
No, ma'am, and I'll explain to you why. There's a couple of different reasons. One, so the first reason is we are really amping up our testing. So many people are coming in to get tested, and we've already exceeded our capacity to test at any kind of quick pace. If you were to call right now to one of our testing sites, it would be several days before you could get tested at this point, because so many people they're basically using testing as a substitution for wearing a mask. They're going and doing what they want to, then they're going to get tested and saying, "Oh, I'm negative." It's really a big problem with our capacity. Also, so if a bunch of students, if all the students in Meriwether County went to get tested before school started, that would be a big, big problem for capacity. Also, when you get tested, okay, you go in and you get swabbed, and a couple of days later you get your test results and it says you're negative. Well, between the time you got tested and the time you get your negative test results, maybe you went over to a friend's house and 15 people were there and no one was wearing a mask and someone was asymptomatic and you got COVID, but then you get your negative test result back and you feel a false sense of security that you're safe to be around and you're not taking those precautions. So it's really pointless to test unless someone has had a direct known contact to a person that's positive, or if they're symptomatic, they've got a cough and a fever and they're not feeling well generally. That's a good reason to get tested as well. But just getting tested just to be on the safe side at this point in the pandemic is not a good option.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We have anybody else on? Anyone else?
I don't really have a question. I have a statement.
Yes.
To all the parents that's gonna send their kids back to school, just pray. That's all we can do is pray, and just ask God to take care of our kids at school, because right now this is a difficult time for any parent to send their kids to school. And I understand that some parents say they can't stay at home with their kids; they have no choice. Just put God first and just pray about it, because this is a hard situation, and it's rough. And just teach your kids to wash their hands, not touch their face, not touch their eyes. Just, I know you say it's hard social distancing kids at school, but just talk to your kids. Just tell them if they don't have to be around nobody, get close to nobody, just tell them that. Because right now we don't have a choice. We either we do virtual or we got to send our kids to school. So I just tell all the parents, just pray.
Ma'am, I appreciate you.
Yeah. So I appreciate you, Dr. Griffin. I know, it's out of your control. There's nothing you really can do about it, that we have to send our school or do virtual learning. But this is my opinion. I don't think it's fair to us parents, because like I said earlier, it's a struggle here at home trying to keep our kids safe. And then have to send your kid to school for 8 hours, and you don't know if they're going to come home sick. You don't know if anything might happen to them. So that's why I just say pray. Just pray. That's all we can do. And I appreciate, you let me make that comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe for a reason, will book bags be allowed in high school this year?
Yes, book bags. We'll have book bags, yes.
And then again, just reiterate, we're gonna have, instructions for them on remote learning after tomorrow.
Yes, there'll be a remote learning commitment form released. And if you'll check the websites later, Mr. Dalton is going to release a statement. It'll start about remote learning. It'll start out, Meriwether County has many challenges when it comes to remote learning. The biggest is internet connectivity. And then at the bottom, he'll have a few items of remote learning, or we prefer that they're on task 7:30 to 3. Grades through 8 have a 9-week commitment, 9 through 12 semester commitment. We encouraging parents to be involved in the remote learning. With a remote learning commitment form, we'll look at individual needs and customize to those needs. Parents are expected to be an integral part of learning. Please contact us regardless if after the cutoff date. We hope to get those forms back by August 4th so we can begin to crunch some numbers. And I pray nobody was trying to take notes as I read that. Mr. Dalton's putting that on the website, okay?
And school is starting August the 24th.
Monday, August 24th. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions tonight? I'll close by saying that we're
Question,
going.
Dr.
Go ahead.
Griffin.
Yes.
For the special needs kids, are they going to institute more parapros in these classrooms? Because, I mean, just to have one classroom with 8 kids and one teacher and 2 people, that's a lot to keep these kids distanced.
Regarding special education questions, remember, we'll socially distance to the best of our ability. Please contact Ms. Tanya Waller, and it's 706-441-0601, and we outsource our paraeducators, and we'll instill as many as we need to provide quality instruction. I will say this: if you the more you put in there, the less social distancing you have. All right. All right. Do we have another question?
Yes, I have a question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Did I have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Please.
Okay, so for the remote learning, will it be for the whole school year or just the first 9 weeks?
All right. If your grades K through 8, we're going to ask you to commit to remote learning for the first 9 weeks. Grades 9 through 12 for the first semester due to the block schedule Carnegie unit requirement. You can, if you choose to start traditional face-to-face on Monday, August 24th, and for some reason you become uncomfortable, you can transition to remote learning, but we're going to ask you to be bound for the 9 week for grades K through 8 or the semester for grades 9 through 12.
Okay, so after the first 9 weeks, what happened then? Do they go back to regular traditional school?
You have the option to return or continue remotely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that's, go ahead.
Okay, my question is, with the remote learners, will the parents receive any kind of training with the programs that will be used for the kids' remote learning? Or will you just get a packet of information and they say, have at it?
Here, I've got Mr. Dalton, our technology director. Did you hear that question?
In Meriwether County, there's just not enough connectivity to the internet consistently throughout the county. So all remote learning packages will be customized. That's why we're going to ask you to sign a commitment form, and then we're going to ask you to meet at your respective school with the administrators there so that we can design a package that's, fits the needs that you have, whether it's all, on a flash drive or if it's done remotely through the internet. But, there's some places it's just not going to be able to happen. So that question's really not possible to answer except after we've met with you and we can decide exactly what's going to be best for your student.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody who has a question, just chime in. Remember the remote learning commitment form should be released sometime late in the day tomorrow, at least be after lunch. If for some reason you can't find it or access it, just call your child's school and we'll get you the form. You can fill it out on site or call in. We'll assist you with filling it out if you need it. And then we'll meet with you in some capacity regarding a customized plan for your child. Our final reopening plan, going to be a final review of it in the morning. That should be released out to the public on all the websites, news media sources. Sometime it'll probably be after lunch on that one tomorrow as well. We'll also have there's going to be a document, the Meriwether County School District COVID screening guidelines. It's sort of a decision matrix regarding if you have no symptoms or some symptoms, or when your child should come to school, when you should close the school, when you should close the classroom. We're going to be releasing those as well. We'll be sure to get that out on the internet. And I think Miss Sherry McKee, she has some beautiful, they're on very nice paper. It's about like a half of a sheet of paper, and it's something that you can put on a magnet on your refrigerator and have it close by. And I know the Department of Public Health's making one final review of that, and then Mrs. McKee will be where she will turn that one loose. And I just thank everyone for their participation. And I want you to keep in mind that we're taking the necessary steps to, especially regarding our facilities and our surfaces and treating those. Regarding any air-based transmission, we're requiring the masks. And, of course, we're doing the regular hand washing to assist with the transmission as well. And I just want you to think that, for example, I'm not picking on the teenagers tonight, but if you have teenagers and they all live within walking distance of each other, and they're all home remotely doing remote learning, and all the parents are at work, well, they decide to, 3 or 4 of them get together, and we're just going to do a little group study effort today on the remote assignments. And they're all sitting in one room, and they do not have a mask on. The protocols for safety are out the door. If you send your child to school for the face-to-face traditional, I can assure you that those protocols will be in place and enforced. And I think we had a caller just a minute ago who talked about we don't know the answers, and she's putting it in the hands of a higher power. And we do not know the answers, but I can assure you that we're going to have a close working relationship with the Department of Public Health. We're going to follow their guidelines, and we're going to work tirelessly and diligently to do what's in the best interest from a safety standpoint for your children. Remember, the reopening plan will be released tomorrow, so will the remote learning commitment form, as well as the COVID screening guidelines decision matrix. And with that, I asked everyone to be safe, follow all safety protocols, and good night.